This is Richard Winkworth, an artist that we collaborate with at Faux. So Richard, can you tell me a little bit about your life's work as an artist and how that came about?
Big question. I think my life's work. The only thing I ever really wanted to do was paint, and it's the best way of remembering my life. Really, it's if something happens in my life, I paint about it. It may not be in a figurative way, but it's anything that has a significant impact is always comes out in painting. And throughout my art school years, I painted still life. That was something very important to me. And I moved to Hong Kong, and actually what became the dominating leitmotif was really the landscape more than anything else, more than the buildings that everybody talks about. It was actually the landscape itself. And in the 10 years I've been painting in Hong Kong, I've transitioned from being somebody who's sort of really, whose major concern was still life, into somebody whose major concern has actually become landscape and environment. It ties in with sort of, I had a sort of, in a way, a crisis of faith, where I just sort of thought that art in the kind of world that we were living in was meaningless. It doesn't really propagate peace. I mean, it doesn't actually do anything. It just makes sort of investors quite rich, and in a way it has spawned, a gallery-stroke global art market scene, which even that I'm not really that keen on becoming part of. So you have to sort of kind of withdraw, have a think about what matters to you. And I realised that it is just landscape more than what we do to each other. I'm concerned about what we are doing to everything else. It's all we have. This is all we have, and I don't think that the idea we will get off this planet and find another place that we can cultivate a viable alternative to cleaning up the mess that we've made here and making here sustainable for us. That's what we have to do, and shooting sports cars into space is not going to solve the problem.
Okay, thank you. And could you now tell me a little bit about your collaborations with Faux and how they came about?
And I kind of asked to do something with Faux. I mean, I've always been, I think I've been an artist who's quite difficult to direct, but they made some mugs, and I came down and I picked one up and I said, I want to make one too. Actually, it's this one. Okay. This is my mug for Faux. I just really liked it, so I asked if I could make one too, and they said yes. So that was my first collaboration.
And what's this mug depicting?
Okay. This mug for me is a route map. It's a kind of mental route map of a journey I take frequently. So I take a ferry from Central to an island called Lama, and on Lama Island is the airport. So on here you can see that there are planes taking off. That is the giant Buddha on Lantau Island. You've got planes flying around, and it's very mountainous there. Okay, so, and when you come into Central, so you cross this sort of stretch of water, and then you come into Central via Kennedy Town. So this is my Kennedy Town. You've still got planes, the helicopter coming in, and I think that building there was Shun Tak, which is where you get the ferry to Macau. And then you sort of head out towards Stonecutters Island, and then there's that last little outcrop of buildings, which I guess is sort of the showing one end of Pock Fulham, and then you are out into the sort of very deep sea. And it's just something that a journey I make frequently, and it's just all in my head, and it just sort of comes out. It comes out like a paragraph, really. It's just sort of a group. That's it. It's just like short sentences making one paragraph. That's what my idea of a route map is.
Okay, and your other work involves you're doing a platter on Happy Valley, which I believe is behind you.
Yes.
So maybe we can just
reach
over to this. If you want to sort of take us through that whole... There was a few problems with this initially, wasn't there, with the colour and the wash. I think you had to redo it.
We worked on this quite hard because, I mean, the original ink painting that this was based on didn't come out in glaze the way that it looked on paper. So we had to work back into it to give us more white areas, so that the entire plate wasn't sort of just those tones. All right, and what this is a sort of an aerial view of Hong Kong. If you were a drone hovering over the racetrack at Happy Valley. We've got all the starting posts. No, sorry, all the finishing posts are in. So this is where all horses start. They charge off here, and they go round this however many times. That's the winning post there. Now, I am. Let's get this right. So this is my side of the island. So we come through the Aberdeen Tunnel, and we come out right by the racetrack, and you've got Happy Valley around it, which is sort of around here. Central. This goes towards North Point. The aeroplane's coming in for Lantau. This is the wall of the Happy Valley racetrack that I pass through, and I've always liked the blue and white export wear. I think it's the most exciting ceramics that sort of the world sees, really. And in the middle is the kanji for "Be the Winner."
So when you say export wear, do you mean that the export from China in the mid-19th century?
Blue and white. Well, that was beautiful, but it was sort of based on much earlier forms of Chinese pottery that weren't for an export market. But blue and white, that blue and white ceramic, that export wear has sort of captured the world's heart, really. Everybody loves it.
And now the West is emulating this?
I don't know that the West emulates it. I mean, I recently went to visit my mother, who lives in quite a remote district of Derbyshire. And I went to an old it's a sort of junk stroke antique collective, 100. There must have been 70 examples of willow pattern, old Victorian and Edwardian willow pattern plates.
But this was made in the UK.
This was made in the UK.
But it was inspired by Chinese export wear.
Inspired by willow pattern.
Yeah.
I mean, it was probably one of the biggest ideas ever exported by China to the UK was the willow pattern. You see it everywhere. You still see it now.
Was it an idea that was exported, or was it just something that the British decided that they wanted to?
Ultimately, it was an idea that it was exported. I mean, I don't know that it was deliberate, but that was the effect. You see willow pattern plates all over the world now.
Yeah,
it's a huge.
And I think you've done a contemporary version of this for Faux for us here. Bear with me 1 second.
Yeah.